let's talk about Kamala Harris.
God.
Is amazing.
It's
Kamala, her amazing foreign policy knowledge and chops. Take a look at this beautiful answer when it comes to Kashmir.
By the way, she's pulling behind Yang in California. Okay.
By the way, she's...
August 5th, there's been a strong clampdown on the valley with often round-the-clock curfews.
Hold on a second. It's a come.
And as we are all aware, since August 5th, there's been a strong clampdown on the valley with often round-the-clock curfews, thousands of detentions, total blockout on information and communications. I personally and my other Kashmiri friends have not been able to speak with our parents, brothers, sisters, other important family members. For the past 5 weeks now, my question is that in view of the severe human rights abuses, enforced disappearances, violence against women and children, which includes pellet gun injuries and abductions, what kind of message of hope and support would you send to the Kashmiri people? That's one part. And secondly, what kind of role do you see for the United States in addressing this humanitarian crisis? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as to the first piece, it is about reminding people that they are not alone and that we are all watching. Because so often when we see human rights abuses, whether they be in this country or around the world, the abuser will convince those that they abuse that nobody cares and that nobody's watching and that nobody's paying attention, which is a tool of an abuser. And so that is part of what I would say. We are watching. The second piece of it is, there's a lot that needs to happen. First of all, under this administration, they have decimated the State Department. Decimated it. And so, as an example of that point, there is currently no ambassador to Pakistan. And that needs to be addressed. Because if the United States in any meaningful way will have any influence on what is happening in Kashmir, we need to have a representative who can be on the ground, as it relates to the president's responsibility as commander-in-chief. Maybe because most of my career has been spent and focused on keeping people safe, I take that component of the job very seriously. And the commander-in-chief must always have as her highest priority our nation's security and the security of the homeland, but also leading with our values. And part of the values of who we are as a nation is that we speak out about human rights abuses, and where appropriate, we intervene. So that is how I would lead as Commander-in-Chief. With that as a value, that would be an important value with which I would lead and immediately restock the State Department, understanding that one of the greatest strengths that we have then, and that the Commander-in-Chief has, is the ability to lead with a strong diplomatic corps that can then become involved in a way that allows us to be informed in our engagement. So that's how I would deal with it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
There she goes. Fam, I think that was one of the most lamest answers I've ever heard in my friggin' life. The woman knows nothing about foreign policy. And would you be surprised that she found a way to bring Donald Trump into this?
Well, yeah, that's her go-to.
I mean, that's all her go. And the fact that she's Indian and she knows nothing about Kashmir, nothing whatsoever. When we asked Tulsi that question, a lot different answer. She said, we got to consider this. She obviously had an idea about what's going on. Kamala Harris is the worst candidate on that stage. I keep saying it. We've done videos on this. She has zero foreign policy chops whatsoever, fam.
And she She
lead with our values, fam.
She basically took the question and made it into like a domestic abuse situation instead of a geopolitical understanding that which she should have if she's running for president. I mean, it was a really bad answer, regardless of how I feel about her. I mean, it was just a bad answer. Yeah. And then in addition to that, she used very pro-war words like "we are going to intervene." Again, the United States has to stop being the police of the world. The majority of Americans agree with it. The majority of Americans want us to focus here on our domestic issues, like what Bernie is proposing. Like, people are in the streets. People are having to work 4 jobs to sustain themselves. Why are we going to intervene and tell another country how to run their country and their people if we can't even run our own?
Yeah.
And so to use that sort of pro-neocon, pro-neoliberal military-industrial complex type of language is concerning to me, and I wouldn't want her anywhere near that, because she would probably appoint someone that's very pro-war themselves, and because she doesn't know any better, she would just sit back and not have any control. So obviously I don't think she's a threat, though, Pasta.